Hi, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and today we're going to dig and I'll show you how I store Dahlia tubers. Now the reason why I'm doing another one, I did one last year, is I learned a new to me method of digging the dahlias, or how you go about preparing the dahlias to be dug, and then storing them. This method is superior to me because my former method, I couldn't really see the eyes of the tubers after digging them up in the fall. And I want to divide them in the fall, only because they're much easier to cut through when they're first dug up. Now, in spring, some of the varieties get so tough that it almost takes a saw to cut through them. So this way you can cut them, get them stored separately, and be ready for next spring to either pot up early, to sprout them, which I do many times, to take cuttings from them. And I have a video on how I take cuttings from dahlias to make more plants, which that's a lot of fun. And it's super, super easy. And, but anyways, this way was a revelation. I've done some of my Dahlia tubers and it really worked. I could see those eyes very easily right out of the ground, well, after I rinsed them off. But anyways, so let's get to digging up, and I'll show you what I do to make it easier to go ahead and divide those Dahlia tubers before storing in fall. Now here is the Dahlia stem. Let me move this little rose out of the way. Here is the Dahlia stem that's left after I cut it. Now the trick here is cut that tuber back 3 or 4 days before you're going to dig it up. Now we had a light frost, early freeze. It didn't kill them all the way back. It did, you see, do some damage. And you could wait till after your first hard freeze and they all die back. And I have done that in the past. But also leave them a few days after that hard freeze in the ground, and they will, if it warms up any like it did here, they will start to push out new eyes, and you can see them. So let me start digging this. I don't know exactly how far back or how big my tubers are, so I try to start back a good 6, 8, sometimes even 12 inches. So here is my tuber dug up. Super easy. Now, I have read that they are extremely tender, so to be very careful when after you first dug them up. In fact, it's recommended that you wait an hour or two before you shake all the dirt off. And rinse them. But I've never done that before, so I'm going to go ahead and take this to where I'm going to rinse it off. So I have my hose, and I'm just going to spray this dirt all off. Not difficult. I'm just going to be real careful so don't break anything off. Now I had a terrible time with voles eating my Dahlia tubers this year, so I didn't get a lot of increase on mine. So I'm going to look and see if we can see any of those eyes popping. Well, let me go turn off the hose. Now, let's see. Can you see right there? The new eyes are so evident, they're hard to miss. They're quite large. You can even see down in there's one. I can't tell if that's one or not, but and there's one. So now they are so evident that I don't have to wait till fall or spring to divide this. In fact, there's one coming right there. So I can go ahead and divide this right now and know exactly where all of those eyes are at. Isn't that great? So let's take this into the greenhouse and see if we can go ahead and divide it. Now, if you can see, this looks like it was the mother tuber. You see how that's squishy? That needs to come off. That will just rot the whole thing. So we're taking that off, and that will get tossed. Let me make sure there's nothing on there. Just toss that away. And then, like I said, here is, this can go, here is some really large, 2 large eyes. There's one on there. And let's see, might be something down there. That's one there. So these ones are showing up very white. And I'm just deciding, because I don't have a lot of tubers. Look, I just have all these little things, whether or not I really want to divide this one. But I could go right down here, cut that through, and then I would know I would have 2. But since I don't have a whole lot, I think I'm just going to go ahead and store this as one unit. And then this spring, when I pot them up to sprout them, I'll have a lots to pick from to take cuttings. And I love to take cuttings from my dahlias because it really works fast and easy for getting more, right along with the dividing of the tuber, which maybe next year I'll have enough on it to divide it. But I am surprised even that some of them lived, because they got half eaten by voles, and they would be wilting, and then all of a sudden I would notice it and hurry and dig it up and put stuff down. And when I mean stuff, I mean the vole repellent that's made from castor oil, castor beans. So this, I will just trim back these roots. Anyways, I will write on here what this one is. This one is one of my cafe au lait. I have a trio. I have a royal palace one, a rose one, and then the traditional cafe au lait. All of them were beautiful. I want to keep them all. So that being said, I will go ahead and trim up the roots on this. All these excess roots, I just trim back so that it fits into the container that I'm going to pot it in. Now they say you should leave it out a couple days to cure, so I'll leave it sitting here. No, I probably shouldn't leave it here in the greenhouse. It gets pretty hot in here. But I'll go put it in the shade. Let me see, that one feels that might be dangerous to leave. This one feels like it might be a little mushy under there, so I might need to cut that one away. Now that I've been talking, I didn't really feel that one, but I'll give it a couple days and see. Now they say the mother tuber a lot of times will go ahead and rot no matter what you do, and so you're better cutting it away from the mother tuber. But as you notice, I don't have a whole lot on here. So here's a nice tuber here that I could just separate, and that way I would know. So let's go ahead and do that. Sorry, I keep jumping around, but after examining this, and since I know this has beautiful eyes, and there's an eye there, I can just cut this tuber right off. Now usually you would do this with a knife. My garden knife is missing. And that way I will have one for sure that's not part of the mother. There's those other two eyes. Yeah, that is kind of squishy. I guess I should cut it away. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely squishy. Oh yeah. See that? That's what you want to get rid of for sure. So I need to cut this away from this right here and get rid of that. I don't see any eyes on this part, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. This is pretty tricky because I have very little to work with on this one. And that's what happens when voles get to your dahlias. I hope you can see this. I'm just too intensely watching on this. See, there's eyes down here I'm trying to miss. There's an eye right there I don't want to get. So, trying to get all that rot off of there. Whoops. Well, that had an eye on it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save that because it may do just great. I'm surprised at what lives and what survives. And there's another one right here. So I still may have 3 viable ones that I can start. Oh, this one definitely has a huge eye on it. So even I could cut that if I wanted to. Now, a lot of people may go, yeah, you can't do all that. Well, sometimes you really can, and you'd be surprised at what you get away with and what lives. These puppies just seem to be a whole lot tougher than I ever gave them credit for. So I have 3 different ones left that I can go ahead and store and pot up next spring. So here is a plastic pot. It has the holes in the bottom, so those are clear, meaning there's nothing obstructing them. That can get a little air in here so it doesn't promote rot, but I have a layer of my shavings. This is white shavings, small flake. This is a bale from the feed store. And then I just set my tubers down in there. You notice that they are not touching. You do not want your tubers to touch. And then I will just put another layer. Now these were still moist. I needed to let them cure a couple days. Some people even say a couple weeks, but mine shrivel up, so I don't get that. But I'd let them dry out for a couple days. And then I will go ahead and cover them with another layer of shavings. And then I'll put some more tubers on there when I get them dug up. I have a whole bunch in my front that need to get dug up yet and checked on, and hopefully they'll have a bit more increase, meaning more tubers on them. But I'm not going to hold my breath because, as I said, I had a lot of trouble with voles eating them, and I'm surprised they lived at all. So anyways, that is how I store my tubers, and that is how I store my Dahlia tubers. And this pot will go into my basement all winter long. I will check them once a month to make sure there's none in there rotting, etc., and pull those out and make sure they're not shriveling up either. And I can kind of mist them if they are getting a little too dry, but I really haven't had much trouble with that. I really hope you enjoyed this video and my new to me technique of how to cut, dig, store your dahlias so that you can divide them in spring. So that you can divide them in fall instead of waiting until spring. And there you have it. Check back also on my dahlia cuttings, how to take dahlia cuttings video here on YouTube, and that's really fun and it's super easy. They root really easy, and then you have more. In fact, it's even easier than trying to divide the tubers. Anyways, there you have it. So please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification if you could.